what I'm going to do is just give you a brief little introduction to my course on training and development, and talk a little bit about the orientation that I take in the course in terms of how training and development should be delivered and the various aspects, the philosophy that I take in the course itself. So if we start looking at the typical kinds of environment that our organizations are facing, we see that there are a lot of current challenges that organizations are facing today, as well as over the past year. I mean, clearly the degree of global competition has increased. And so organizations are finding they're not only competing with their competitors that are down the street, but now they're competing with the competitors from halfway around the world. And that's causing an increased conflict in terms of being able to meet their bottom line. In addition to that, we see increased technology being introduced into the world of work. The internet has been introduced for almost 20 years now, and customers are starting to increase their use of the internet. And organizations are still only now tapping into how they can use the internet to maximize their commitment, the customer's commitment to their organization. For example, do you know how organizations what they're doing with the internet now to get their customers more committed to them? Do you know? Do you know how they're using Facebook? What are they doing? Social networks. What? So then now they're just sending emails. Hi, how are you doing? This is your friendly neighborhood clothing store.
Keeping in contact with them.
They're keeping in contact. They're giving, what's that?
Touch base.
Touch base, giving them special notices of upcoming sales. And these are secret sales that only their fellow friends on Facebook know about. Same thing with Twitter. Well, this is something that's relatively new. Using these formerly just social networks to keep in touch with your customer base. Well, since the internet made it so free and gave so much power to the customers to shop around, now organizations are trying to use that very same technology to try to maintain customer loyalty. That's a new sense of challenge that organizations are facing, and that's how some are meeting this challenge. Here's another challenge that they're facing. The pace of change has increased. Before, organizations could get along with some slow and inefficient procedures. Now, of course, if you haven't implemented technology properly, that could spell a huge problem with your ability to meet the demands of the workforce, because if you haven't kept up with the current new technology, well, just wait a year and a new improvement with that technology will occur, and you're only that much further behind in terms of where your competitors are. So the pace of change is now getting faster, making it still more important for organizations to somehow keep up. Cross-national and cross-organizational collaborations are increasing. IBM is now talking to Apple. And Apple now can run a simulator so that you can take all the software that only was running on IBM and their operating system, and now you can run it on Apple. Well, that's interesting. Multinational corporations are now, well, you know, that's been around for a while, but even that surface is changing too. And it's causing new types of dilemmas for organizations and their competitors that is, again, changing at a fast pace. And finally, there's one more change. Organizations are finding that they're more dependent on knowledge workers. That is, they're more dependent not on people that produce tangible products, but people that have the information to produce ideas. the intangible products. But it's the ideas that drive the market force. It's the idea that caused the product to come about. So as we see with there being more dependent on knowledge workers, there's a change in terms of the kinds of pressures organizations are going through. Before, if we were relying on people who were able to produce a physical product, their skills lasted for a long time. For a knowledge worker, the halftime of our knowledge and its usefulness of our knowledge is not anywhere like the usefulness of the skills for more physical workers. The halftime of our knowledge, by the way, that term halftime refers to how long does it take before half of your information is useless, right? From the time you've learned it to when it's no longer useful, the halftime life for a knowledge worker is 5 years. So after 10 years, then, you have to retool the knowledge worker. So with organizations being more dependent upon knowledge workers, there's increased pressure now to update their skills as well. It's these competitions, it's these challenges that organizations are facing that are coming all at once at these organizations at faster and faster paces that organizations are trying to find solutions to. There are multiple ways that they're finding solutions to these challenges. The seminar that I teach focuses on one. It focuses on human competencies, that is, the knowledge that people have to get the job done, the skills that they have to get the job done. These are the learned capabilities that they have. The abilities, the A part, the actual things that are typically you are born with to get the job done. And then the O stands for the other characteristics. It's these human competencies that we focus on in this seminar, and the extent to which these human competencies are flexible and therefore accessible to change over time and to intervention. We're looking for two types of intervention: training and development. And even though they're used interchangeably a lot in the lay literature, they pertain to specific types of interventions. Training usually refers to learning related to a specific job, to learn a particular skill for your current job. Whereas development pertains to growth of the individual for maybe this job, but in general it pertains to the whole career growth. It could be lots of jobs along that person's path. Change is inevitable. It's the adaptation that is a choice. The only choice we have in this process is whether we're going to adapt or not. Okay? Do you know what you call an employee who has not updated his or her skills in 5 or 10 years? Do you know what their name is? An employee who has not updated their skills in 5 or 10 years? Unemployed. Same thing could be true for an organization. An organization that has not adapted or adopted new technology in the past 5 or 10 years is essentially not competitive anymore. Okay? What we have to do is somehow figure out how to adapt, because that's what we need to do to survive.